Let me lay the situation out for you. I drink a lot of coffee, probably a little bit too much coffee, but the majority of the coffee that I drink is instant coffee because it's hella easier and also doesn't really taste that bad. I don't know. I think I grew up liking bad coffee, so now that I'm an adult, I also like bad coffee. But anyways, recently I was thinking, oh, I'm drinking a lot of this instant coffee. I should probably find out how it's made to see if there's anything like bad in it, or if there's any like, it seems like it's semi-chemically. Are there any like chemicals in this instant coffee that could cause me harm? So I started looking into it, and I found out that there is something in the instant coffee, technically in all coffee, but in higher levels of this stuff are in instant coffee, that are carcinogenic and can be a neurotoxin. And I was like, what? So I started drinking regular coffee, but it's just so much freaking work and I hate it. And so I thought, you know what? The only real way to do this is to actually look into it, to make a video, and then that way I can drink all the instant coffee I want if I find a favorable answer. So this is my journey on finding a favorable answer that allows me to drink more instant coffee. So the study I looked at when I did like a very small amount of research about this instant coffee thing was done in China, but I can't remember what the stuff was called. So I'm just gonna look up like the stuff that gets formed in coffee when it heats up that can become a neurotoxin. It's kind of very long-winded and roundabout, but it gets the job done, I'm hoping. Aha, acrylamide, that's what it is. Healthline. Should you be concerned? I really hope not. The health benefits are pretty impressive. It's been shown to enhance brain function, increase metabolic rate, improve exercise performance. Oh, check that out. Whoa! They got 3 sources cited right off the bat. I love a good source cited. Let's look at this one. The impact of caffeine on mood, cognitive function, performance, and hydration. So it looks like they're basically just saying that a lot of people claim that there's a lot of benefits to caffeine consumption, things like physical endurance, cognitive function, alertness, and such, but other people are concerned that excessive intakes increase the risk of dehydration, anxiety, headaches, and sleep disturbances, so they're looking into this. It's a double-blind, placebo-controlled trial. They had 41 people in the study, so it sounds like the range of caffeine intake that appeared to maximize benefits and minimize risk is 38 to 400 milligrams per day. Oh, nice. That's quite a wide range there, equating 1 to 8 cups of tea, which is a lot of cups of tea. I would be peeing so much if I had 8 cups of tea, or zero point 0.3 to 4 cups of brewed coffee. Hey, I am well within that range. I usually only drink around 3 cups of coffee. So according to this study, the 400 milligrams per day is the recommended. It looks like 450 is the max per day, which is a fair amount of caffeine. Let's keep looking at this OG article. So lots of benefits linked to lower risk of higher or regular intake of coffee, lower risk of dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, type 2 diabetes. Wow, okay. I didn't realize there were so many benefits. I thought this was kind of contentious. Like a lot of people say coffee can be harmful. IDK. Anyways, so here we get into the harmful chemical called acrylamide. What is it? It's a white odorless crystal compound. And this is the chemical formula. It's used to make plastics and treat wastewater, among other things. Okay, so overexposure to this chemical can cause damage to your nervous system. It's also thought to increase your cancer risk. So scientists believe that acrylamide in the food is a product of the Maillard reaction, which occurs when sugars and amino acids are heated above 248 degrees Fahrenheit. So once it's in the roasted coffee beans, there's no way to remove it. It forms during the roasting process. Is it actually harmful? Yes, apparently. However, it depends on the dose. So it sounds like they give it to animals and then the animals get cancer, but the dose that they give to animals is like super high, 1,000 to 100,000 times as large as the amounts humans are exposed to through diet. Do they have a reference for this? Reference. Acrylamide intake through diet and human cancer risk. These studies found no association between intakes of specific foods containing acrylamide and risks of cancer. Moreover, there was no relationship between an estimated acrylamide intake in the diet and cancer risk. Interesting. So how much acrylamide is in coffee actually? Wait, this is saying that there's a whole bunch of it in baked goods. Let me look at this. Acrylamide formed in heated foodstuffs. So it looks like moderate levels are found in protein-rich foods, and higher contents were found in carbohydrate-rich foods, such as potato, beetroot, and certain commercial potato products. Acrylamide could not be detected in unheated, control, or boiled foods. So if you boil it, seems like it's better. Consumption habits indicate that acrylamide levels in studied heated foods could lead to daily intake of a few tens of micrograms. Okay, so if a few tens of micrograms is how much we're taking in, how much would be a problem, I guess is the question. Also, I'm not sure, this was linked in reference to baked goods and coffee. I'm not seeing anything about baked goods or coffee here, although I didn't actually read the study. It just talks about protein-rich foods and carbohydrate-rich foods and potatoes. Okay, so at this point, it sounds like it's in basically all foods. Is this a problem? I guess the other study said it's not a problem, but this is like, these people seem to think that the uptake rate could be associated with a considerable cancer risk. I think they're just saying it's risky because this stuff has been known to cause cancer in animals, and so they're thinking, oh, if we're ingesting a lot of it, this could be risky. Let's keep looking. Okay, oh, here we go. So the amount of acrylamide in coffee varies greatly. So they sampled 42 different ones and some instant coffees and coffee substitutes, which are grain coffees. I don't know what that is really. Although the sample sizes here are a little bit surprising. Why only 3 coffee substitutes and 11 instant coffees out of 42? So that means what? Let's look at this study. Acrylamide level in coffee and coffee substitutes. This says that 28 were ground roasted coffee, 11 were instant, and 3 were coffee substitutes. Why such a stark difference in the number of things that are being studied? I feel like 3 coffee substitutes is not a large sample size, especially when you're comparing it to 28 samples of roasted coffee. Seems like a strange approach. Okay, so it looks like the highest levels of acrylamide were found in coffee substitutes, and then instant coffees had some more, and then roasted coffee had the least. So 1 single cup of coffee in the roasted coffee was 0.45 micrograms, and oh yikes, 3 micrograms in coffee substitutes. So it looks like this study is basically like manufacturers need to start defining how much acrylamide is actually in the coffee, because some of them, like coffee substitutes, have such higher levels. Wait, what does this say? A significant negative correlation was observed between acrylamide levels and the intensity of color in roasted coffee. This was not the case, however, for instant coffee. I'm not sure what they're trying to say with that exactly. This says coffee substitutes have 800 pg/kg, but then these say micro-g/kg. What the heck is pg/kg? Pg/kg is a picogram. 1 picogram is 10 to the negative 15th kilograms. Why is it in kilograms? Could I not just get it in grams? Gram. So picogram is would be 1 to the negative 12. So picogram would be 1 to the negative 12 grams, which is very small. How does that relate to micrograms? Picogram to microgram. 1 to the negative 6th. So it seems like it's significantly smaller. I wish there was an easier way to visualize this, because I'm not really, I understand what this says, but I don't understand what this says. These are different units of measurement though. Why would they say that the coffee substitutes have 800 picograms and the instant coffee has 300 micrograms? Micrograms are bigger or smaller than picograms. Here, there's a table. Okay, so we've got milligrams, micrograms, nanograms, and picograms. So picograms is significantly smaller than a microgram. So why would they be measuring coffee substitutes in picograms and then instant coffee in micrograms when micrograms are significantly larger than picograms? You got me. Okay, let's keep looking. Okay, so but the question at this point is, how much is too much acrylamide? Because it seems like a certain level is acceptable. A certain level is not too much. So how much is that? This Healthline article, just to go back for a second, has listed that these all in microgram units. So maybe there was just a typo in that publication. I don't know. Oh, but it is worth noting that apparently acrylamide levels peak early in the heating process and then decline. So lighter colored beans have more than darker ones. These people seem to think that the risk of the acrylamide cancer might be worth the weighing, because coffee has been shown to reduce the risk of other cancers, like liver cancer. So I think so it might be kind of like it's worth the risk for the benefits type scenario. Okay, here, let's see. A European Food Safety Authority will give you the maximum exposure levels recommended. Okay, so this should answer our question, right? Scientific opinion on acrylamide in food. They've got this whole thing, but then kind of culminates in this: the data from human studies was inadequate for dose response assessment. So they've got some animal studies, but it sounds like they don't really know how much is too much for humans. Wonderful. So the margins. So the AA is the shorthand for acrylamide. So it says although these people have not demonstrated acrylamide to be a human carcinogen, the margins of exposure indicate a concern for neoplastic effects based on animal evidence. What is this? Neoplastic effects? Question mark? Neoplastic effects. I'm not really seeing anything about neoplastic effects. They've got neoplastic diseases or neoplasms. Also more neoplasm stuff. Let me change my approach a little bit. Sounds like it has something to do with a neoplasm, so let's see. What is a neoplasm? National Cancer Institute. A neoplasm is an abnormal mass of tissue that forms when cells grow and divide. Neoplasms may be benign, not cancer. Okay, so it's basically, also called a tumor. Okay, you could have just said that. So neoplasm is basically just a tumor. So when they say there's a concern for neoplastic effects, they're concerned that the acrylamide might be causing tumors to grow in animals. That was a very roundabout way to find that out. Okay, so I think that pretty much answers my question about like, can I safely drink instant coffee? It seems like it's probably fine. It doesn't seem like me drinking a couple cups of instant coffee a day is going to cause cancer or like turn into a neurotoxin. It should be okay. Okay, but the problem is still like, is it the best way to drink coffee? I feel like I need to like create a graph or a table that kind of like lays out the differences between brewed coffee and how to make that, and also instant coffee, so that I can tell people how much better my instant coffee actually is when they tell me that drinking instant coffee is the worst. Because I've had a bunch of people look at me like I'm crazy for drinking instant coffee. Let's spreadsheet it out if we can. Google Sheets. Actually, you know what? Forget Google Sheets. I hate them and I don't really know how to use it. So I'm just going to put a table in Obsidian and use that. Why instant coffee is better. Okay, so we need to review like criteria, right? Like what kind of things make coffee coffee? Specifically for me personally, actually, I guess because my coffee journey is my own. And also I'm not really the average coffee type drinker person. Things like how much prep time, how long does it take to brew, cleanup time, recurring cost, flavor/taste, and caffeine content. All right, let me put these all into the table and then we can go from there. Oh, also actually before we do that, we should probably list the different types of like coffee makers and different coffee options. So let's put in drip coffee, pour over, French press, moka pot, and instant coffee as the last one. And then we can fill in our criteria over here. Prep time. I probably should have said this earlier, but I am currently drinking instant coffee and have been pretty much this whole time. Delicious. Okay, let's fill these in. How much time does it take to prep a drip coffee, like a coffee maker? You gotta put the grounds into the little filter and fill it up with water. And that's pretty much it as far as prep time goes, especially if you have pre-ground coffee. So let's say 1 to 2 minutes. I think most of these are pretty much the same, except for the French press. You don't need a filter. In the moka pot, you also don't need a filter. In the instant pot, you need nothing. So let's fill these in. Okay, we've got these filled in. Brew time is going to be a little bit longer for a drip coffee. It takes like 5 minutes-ish. Pour over takes like 3, French press 5, moka pot 5, and instant coffee takes 0 brew time because you just pour it in and you're done. Cleanup time, got those filled in. Reoccurring costs. So the recurring costs would be filters, right? Because you have to buy filters for drip coffee and pour overs and stuff. You know, I just realized that we should probably add a separate thing for filters and also for beans for the coffee itself. Okay, so let's see. How much do filters cost? Let's look it up really fast. $3 for 100, $2 for, I guess it's $4, $16 for 1800, $11 for Chemex if you're fancy. Let's say we're basing all of this off of like a month of uses, like a month's worth of coffee making. So let's say it's really not that much for filters. So let's say like $1 a month to be charitable. For drips, probably about the same. For pour over, French press is 0, moka pot also 0, instant 0. Beans are pricier. Let's look that up as well. See, we've got Amazon for $12.90. $12.90, $17.98, $13.95, $18. I mean, it's super subjective, like the quality of what you want, and also like, do you want a whole bean? Do you want a ground? So let's say for a month you're spending like what, We'll say $25 on beans a month. I think pretty much all of these other ones are going to be the same except for maybe instant coffee, which is, let's look, $7. $7. This one's $10. This one's $4.50. There's a 2-pack for $20. Yeah, I go through about one of these. I would say like maybe one of these a month, or maybe even less. So I'm just going to put it at, I put it at $7. Flavor profile, the taste, got that filled out. I feel like drip coffee maybe does taste like a little bit better, and these other ones do taste pretty good. Instant coffee doesn't taste as great, but I mean, it's still 7 out of 10 is not bad, you know what I'm saying? It's a solid B- in my book, or maybe a C. I don't know how grades work. And last but not least, the caffeine content. Let's look this up because I'm curious. How much caffeine in a cup of coffee? Medical news today. Caffeine content of different types of coffee. Okay, so let's see, there's different, so, oh good, so they've got different types, coffee types here. Brewed coffee, decaf, cold brew, instant, espresso. Okay, so for the brewed coffee, it's 80 to 100 milligrams. Decaf is around 2 milligrams. Wow, this is a shockingly small amount. Cold brew is between 150 and 230. Dang, that's a pretty good chunk of caffeine. Instant coffee only has around 62 milligrams, which kind of surprises me. That's really not very much. Espresso also only about 63. That's surprising. I thought espresso had more caffeine. I thought that was part of the draw. I learned something new. Research shows that 85% of American adults consume caffeine daily at an average of about 180 milligrams per se, which equals about 2 cups of coffee. I could get behind that research. So let's fill that into our little chart, graph, table. So I'm just going to put these all at the same, as the same caffeine content, except for moka pot, which I should probably change that actually, because I was assuming it was kind of similar to espresso. We'll put it as like 68 because that's what they put in there. Okay, so we've got our caffeine content tabled out. I put all of these as the same because I think they're pretty much similar, and then moka pot 68 because I think it's more similar to espresso, and then instant as 60 to 75 because I feel like it definitely varies. I don't know why they said 68. That's a very specific number, so I'm gonna put 60 to 75. Okay, so as you can see, time invested significant versus instant coffee. 30 seconds, people. It takes 30 seconds to brew a cup of instant coffee. I mean, you have to boil the water in the kettle, so that takes a little while, but you literally just fill up the kettle, electric kettle, fill it up with water, and then wait for it to boil, and then pour it into the cup. Bam, you're done. I don't even store mine. I just use like the water flowing in to like mix it up, and has worked perfectly every time. The cost, you're spending like an arm and a leg. Not an arm and a leg. It's not that expensive for brewed coffee, but still, $7 is significantly cheaper. Also the taste, really not that bad. Like maybe not as amazing as regular coffee, but really not that bad either. And caffeine tongue, I'm a little bit surprised by this caffeine content. I didn't realize it was so low, which makes me think that maybe I should just be drinking more. Yeah, I think I have made my point pretty well. So I think that's gonna about do it for this video. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.